Hi, welcome to RC Pylon TV. I'm Don Stigall. This video is phase 2 of building a fuselage for a Miss Cosmic Wind EF1 pylon racer. In the first phase, I built up the crutch for the forward portion that has the wing tubes and the radio tray and the landing gear and the firewall. And what's left now is to build the aft section, and it's tab locking. So I've eyeballed this a lot. It looks very straight with the tab locking construction and the excellent engineering by Dan Kane. This airplane goes together quite nicely. So the first thing I'm going to do is mix up a batch of epoxy with a 50-minute pot life. This will give me plenty of time to mount the sides and the lower sides to the parts that have to be glued with epoxy. I could go in with slow curing CA, but I'm going to do it with epoxy. The sides fit into tabs. There are 3 tabs that hold this side in place. So what I'm going to do is spread some epoxy . Should have put some flange protector down first. I'll have to wipe up the glue that I got on my little workboard here. Now, I had marked this with an R because when you put the formers in, depending on which direction you put this former behind the radio tray, they need to go in a certain orientation. So I'm going to fit those on there, and I'm just going to put a small clamp at the front. And we'll lay this down like this and see how close it looks. Clamp's in the way. Well, I can't really do that. So what I'm going to do is just put a clamp here. And now what I'm going to do is come back here, stick that tab back in its hole. I don't have something lined up properly. So what I'm going to do is put a clamp here to make sure it stays in this tab. I'm going to put another one here. I'm going to pull the rear of the fuselage together and tape it. Now I'm going to put this former in place. They have a flat spot, which you should make sure is consistent with the flat spot of this former. Otherwise your push rod holes will not be lined up properly. And what I'm going to do is tape that from the bottom, which you'll see why in just a second. And while I'm getting that in, I'm going to put the rear former in, and I'm also going to put a piece of tape across the back of it just to make sure it holds it in place. And now I'm going to take the crutch and lay it in place. I have to loosen the rear of the fuselage just a little bit. I'm going to take that back. And I'm going to take off my glasses and do a close inspection to make sure everything looks lined up. This piece had slipped just a little bit, so I'm clamping it in place. And I'm going to glue one little area there. And glue one little area right here. Just to make sure everything stays lined up here. I'm going to put just a little bit of CA, even though there's epoxy under there. Glue the former in from the outside. And then glue this rear former in from the outside. Now I'm going to glue the extended part of the fuselage crutch. And while I can still get to that easily, glue it in. And now what I'm going to do is glue the formers. Looks nice and straight. So I'm going to take the tape off and finish gluing it. One thing I'm going to do is there's a little wing fillet that's, even though it's got epoxy on it, I'm going to CA it so it stays in place. And we'll CA around this former. Make sure it stays in place. CA around this tab. CA around this tab. Now I can take the clamps off because it's going to stay in place. It makes it easier to work with. And now that I've got all the tape off, I'm going to go over all the joints. And here's that lovely smell of CA kicking off again. This one piece of tape. Be careful because there's CA all over the place. The sides glue onto here. And there's enough give that you can pull it back and put the epoxy under it. So I'm just going to tack these in place at the formers. So those are on there. We'll get it on the other side. One thing I'm going to do to make this a little easier is to go ahead and glue the back. what I'm doing is lining up the two side pieces and tacking them together. These pieces are lined up. I'm just going to put a little CA in there. Let's see how the bottom fits. Everything fits nicely, but I missed one thing while snap assembling one together, and I want this airplane to be correct, so I'm going to have to make a minor deviation on the videotaping. Normally I would just go ahead and put this in and glue it, but there are places for stringers on the formers which would allow rounding the rear bottom of the fuselage a little bit. So what I'm going to do is complete the work I'm doing right now and glue the bottom on after I've made some stringers, after I've let it cure. I'm going to go ahead and get some epoxy in here up under the sides. And I'm going to tape that down in place. I could go ahead and put in the deck formers, but they also require stringers. And while I'm cutting stringers, I want to cut stringers for those as well. So I'm going to take some flange protector, roll out the flange protector, and I'm going to get a little bit of this glue that I got on here off. So, except for gluing on the bottom and putting on the deck, the fuselage is mostly complete. The basic structure's in place. Everything else is dependent on this structure. It looks straight. The tab construction is very cool. It's actually very easy. If you're not trying to videotape it, makes it a lot easier. But I hope you'll stay tuned to RC Pylon TV and DonStigall.com and subscribe to each of them. I have a lot more videos coming, and thanks for watching.